The case of Greta Marie Otteson and Arno Quinton Els. In the peaceful town of Hoi An, Vietnam, a tragic and deeply saddening event unfolded at the end of the year 2024. What began as a festive and promising time for one engaged couple, full of plans for their future and a life built together in a new country, turned unexpectedly into an international tragedy that would leave their families, friends, and loved ones grieving and searching for answers. On the morning of the 26th of December, two individuals, 33-year-old Greta Marie Otteson and 36-year-old Arno Quinton Els, were found in separate rooms at the Hoi An Silverbell villa. Staff at the property made the discovery, and what initially appeared to be a peaceful scene quickly became a deeply concerning mystery. No signs of disturbance, external force, or foul play were evident. Authorities reported that their bodies showed no visible injuries, and nothing in the villa immediately suggested what might have caused their unexpected passing. The couple had moved to Vietnam in February of that year. Greta, a British woman originally from Wales, and Arno, her South African fiancé, had built a life in Hoi An that revolved around creativity, community, and adventure. The pair had taken out a lease on the Silverbell villa and had been hosting guests, creating a cozy and inviting space. According to reports, they had also become an integral part of the local scene, engaging with tourists and locals alike. Only 3 weeks before their final day, Greta and Arno had gotten engaged. Their joy had been shared online and through videos, including one where they excitedly planned to surprise their families and friends with the news. The video painted a picture of a couple deeply in love, filled with humor, energy, and a vision of building something lasting together. Their families were heartbroken and desperate for answers. Greta's parents, Susan and Paul, travelled from their current home in Bahrain to Vietnam after hearing the devastating news. They attended their daughter's cremation alongside Arno's loved ones and eventually brought their ashes home. In a heartfelt statement, they described the couple as joyful, adventurous, and deeply in love. They had found a home in Vietnam, and from all outward appearances, they were happy and thriving. For weeks, there was no explanation as to what had happened. Rumours circulated, and people speculated about what might have caused two vibrant, healthy young people to suddenly pass away in such a calm setting. Then, in January of the following year, their families shared what investigators had finally confirmed. Vietnamese authorities determined that Greta and Arno had experienced methanol poisoning, a form of alcohol contamination that is sadly not uncommon in parts of Southeast Asia. Investigators believe the poisoning stemmed from a bottle of homemade limoncello, which the couple had purchased from a local restaurant on Christmas Eve. Several empty bottles of alcohol had been found in the villa, and while no external signs of harm were evident, the autopsy reports revealed the devastating truth. It appeared that the drink they had consumed contained methanol, a highly toxic substance when ingested. Methanol is often present in homemade or counterfeit alcoholic drinks that are not subject to the same safety standards as commercially regulated beverages. In even small quantities, it can cause serious illness, and in higher amounts, it can tragically be life-ending. Greta and Arno, like many other travellers and residents in the region, may not have known the risks when purchasing what appeared to be a harmless local product. The restaurant where the limoncello was allegedly purchased has not been publicly named, and reports suggest it remains open. No arrests have been made as of yet. Greta's parents have since vowed to pursue justice for their daughter and her fiancé, hoping to hold accountable those responsible for distributing such dangerous products. Their goal is not only to find closure, but also to raise awareness about the hidden dangers of unregulated alcohol consumption. The case has stirred a larger conversation about safety and alcohol standards in tourist areas. Only weeks before Greta and Arno's tragedy, 6 other tourists in Laos had passed away under similar circumstances. These events have drawn attention to the need for better safety regulations, public education, and accountability for those selling alcohol in regions that cater heavily to international visitors. According to social media, Greta had been working as the founder and social media manager for a digital brand called Not Sorry Socials. Arno, meanwhile, had built a career as a stand-up comedian. They were both creative, warm, and described by those who knew them as spirited and full of life. Their relocation to Vietnam had been part of a larger journey, one shaped by love, shared dreams, and a desire to explore the world together. The loss of such a couple, especially in such a quiet and preventable manner, is a tragedy that has echoed far beyond the streets of Hoi An. It serves as a reminder of how fragile life can be and how even a simple act, like sharing a festive drink during the holidays, can carry unforeseen dangers in the absence of strict safety oversight. Greta and Arno's story is not just one of loss, it is a reminder to remain vigilant, to advocate for better protections for travelers and residents, and to ensure that such stories are not repeated in silence. Their families have shown remarkable strength, and in their grief, they have taken on the difficult mission of turning their pain into purpose. They hope to ensure that Greta and Arno's legacy is one of love, awareness, and lasting change. In the quiet halls of the villa where they once laughed and dreamed together, Greta and Arno are remembered not by how their lives ended, but by how fully they lived them. The mysterious Lake Mead discovery that solved a decades-old mystery. In the autumn of the year 2023, the quiet waters of Lake Mead whispered stories long buried beneath its surface. As the lake continued to shrink due to a prolonged drought affecting the western United States, a diver working near Colville Bay made an unexpected and somber discovery: a human bone resting on the now exposed lakebed. This unsettling find prompted a search by park rangers and dive teams, leading to the recovery of more skeletal remains. In the weeks that followed, authorities confirmed that the remains belonged to Donald P. Smith, a North Las Vegas man who had disappeared in the waters behind the Hoover Dam nearly 5 decades earlier. Smith was 39 years old when he went missing in April of the year 1974. At the time, little could be done to locate him, and the reservoir held tight to its secrets. Now, thanks to advances in DNA technology, the Clark County Coroner's Office was able to match the remains and confirm his identity. His passing was ruled accidental, bringing a sense of closure to a mystery that had lingered quietly for generations. Yet Smith's discovery was far from isolated. His remains marked the 6th human find over a 6-month period, as Lake Mead's shoreline steadily retreated due to extreme drought. This ecological shift unearthed more than just rocks and boats. It unveiled stories, some tragic, others mysterious, that had been hidden beneath the water for years. Just one day after Smith's remains were discovered, another dive team was dispatched to the same area. Their findings confirmed additional human skeletal remains on the Nevada side of the Colorado River Reservoir near the Hoover Dam. While some remains were located in shallow waters, others were found along the dramatically receding shore. Over time, the once concealed secrets of the lake were being drawn into the open air. Among the most chilling discoveries occurred earlier, on the 1st of May in the year 2022, when a male body was found inside a rusted barrel near Hemingway Harbor. The condition of the body indicated that the individual had experienced foul play, and an investigation was promptly launched. In the days that followed, detectives revealed that the person had been wearing sneakers manufactured and sold by Kmart during the mid to late 1970s. This detail expanded the window of time during which the incident could have occurred, possibly extending into the early 1980s. The man's identity remains unknown, and investigators continue to explore connections with unsolved missing persons cases from the area. Less than a week after the discovery at Hemingway Harbor, on the 7th of May, another set of remains surfaced near Colville Bay. This time, DNA testing confirmed the identity as Thomas Erndt, a Las Vegas resident who was believed to have gone missing during a family boat outing on the lake. His remains offered another form of resolution to a grieving family, even as other discoveries only deepened the mystery. Further remains were discovered throughout the summer and into the autumn. In August, a 5th set was located near Swim Beach, and previous finds had already been recovered near Boulder City. Each new discovery brought a wave of speculation, as well as renewed efforts by law enforcement to piece together the puzzle. In many cases, DNA samples were taken, but identification is expected to take years rather than months. For some individuals, conclusive answers may never come, especially if they were never officially reported missing or if their families can no longer be reached. As the number of discoveries grew, so too did public curiosity. The proximity of Lake Mead to Las Vegas, a city once known for its ties to organized crime, sparked theories that some of the lake's secrets might be connected to unresolved mysteries from the city's darker past. The idea that some remains could be tied to historical wrongdoings added another layer of intrigue to an already haunting narrative. Lake Mead, which sits on the border between Arizona and Nevada, is sustained by the Colorado River and held back by the engineering marvel of the Hoover Dam. It has long served as one of the region's most vital reservoirs, supplying water to an estimated 40 million people. By the year 2022, Lake Mead's water levels had dropped to their lowest point since the reservoir was first filled in the late 1930s. As the lakebed became increasingly exposed, more than just human remains began to surface. Previously, submerged vessels, including a World War II-era landing craft, and original intake valves from the dam's construction were revealed. Each artifact spoke to the lake's historical importance, but none stirred the imagination quite like the human discoveries. For the families of those now identified, like Donald Smith and Thomas Erndt, these revelations offer a long-awaited conclusion to decades of questions. Efforts continue by local authorities, the Las Vegas Metropolitan Police, and national forensic teams to examine the bones, match DNA samples, and revisit unsolved cases. But the process is slow, meticulous, and emotionally taxing. Many of the individuals whose remains have surfaced went missing at a time when DNA testing did not exist, and in some cases, no formal reports were ever filed. As Lake Mead's waterline continues to recede, more remains may emerge. Each discovery reminds us not only of the fragile relationship between humanity and nature, but also of the hidden narratives that time and water have carefully concealed. The reservoir, once a symbol of progress and human ingenuity, now serves as a quiet witness to lives lived, stories forgotten, and questions still unanswered. The sad case of Jenny Gamez. The story of Jenny Gamez is one that speaks to the deep sadness of lives lost too soon and the long search for justice that sometimes follows. Jenny was a woman from Oregon who, in the early years of her adulthood, found herself in a vulnerable place in life. In the year 2012, she made the decision to travel to Wisconsin, where it is believed she met with a man she had connected with. That meeting, however, would be the last time Jenny would be seen alive. For years, Jenny's name was unknown to the world. In 2014, travelers near a roadside in Wisconsin made a horrifying discovery: a suitcase containing human remains. Alongside it was another suitcase containing the remains of a second woman who was quickly identified as Laura Simonson. Laura's tattoos remained visible despite the condition of her body, allowing authorities to make a relatively quick identification. But the woman found in the other suitcase remained a mystery. Jenny Gamez, who had become distanced from her family in the years prior, had not been reported missing. She had fallen out of touch with loved ones, which made the task of identifying her far more difficult. For some time, she was referred to by the media as the suitcase body, a nickname that, while sensationalized, reflected how little was known about her at the time. Because traditional identification methods were not immediately successful, investigators turned to facial reconstruction in the hope that someone might recognize the mystery woman. The rendering, created in an attempt to match features as closely as possible, was released to the public. While some criticized the quality of the image and social media commentary took an unkind turn, the effort served its purpose. Even flawed, these renderings can highlight distinct features that resonate with those who once knew the person behind the image. Eventually, thanks to dental records, the woman in the suitcase was confirmed to be Jenny Gamez. For her family, the confirmation brought a wave of emotion, grief, pain, and a longing for answers. It was a tragic end to a chapter that had been filled with so many unknowns. The person responsible for Jenny's fate was Stephen Zelich, a former police officer whose actions shocked the community and sent ripples through the lives of both Jenny's and Laura's families. In 2016, Stephen Zelich was sentenced to 35 years in prison for his role in Jenny's passing. For Jenny's family, the sentence brought a sense of resolution, though no amount of time served could ever undo what had happened or bring her back. Jenny Gamez's story is more than a mystery or a headline. It is a reminder of the fragility of life and the importance of remembering those who may have fallen out of sight but are never out of mind. Her case illustrates the need for compassion toward those whose voices may be quieter, whose lives may not fit neatly into expected narratives, but who still matter deeply. Alisa Petrov. The disappearance and unexpected reappearance of 15-year-old Alisa Petrov has captured public attention across Utah and beyond. What began as a deeply troubling situation involving a missing teenager has evolved into a cautionary tale about internet safety, vulnerability, and the enduring hope of family. Alisa vanished on the morning of the 21st of April, 2025, after being dropped off at Canyon Grove Academy in American Fork, Utah. Located approximately 32 miles south of Salt Lake City, the school was part of her usual weekday routine. However, on this particular morning, she never entered the school building. Instead, surveillance footage later revealed that Alisa had made her way to a nearby Speedway gas station, where she made a small purchase before persuading a stranger to give her a ride to the local UTA train station. From there, Alisa boarded a train heading south to Provo, roughly 14 miles away. Once in Provo, she was seen speaking with several individuals, reportedly asking for assistance in buying a bus ticket to Las Vegas, Nevada. Her behavior suggested that she was attempting to make contact with someone she had been speaking to online. This raised immediate concerns for law enforcement, who believed that Alisa may have been planning to meet individuals she encountered through various social media platforms and messaging applications. Authorities quickly classified her case as an endangered runaway due to her young age and the potentially risky nature of traveling alone to meet unknown adults. The South Jordan Police Department emphasized the importance of caution when it comes to online interactions, especially among teenagers, and launched an intensive investigation to track Alisa's digital footprint. They began examining her phone and iPad, both of which she had with her when she disappeared, in the hope that they would reveal vital clues about her plans and communications. Alisa's family was devastated. Her father, Nikolai Petrov, and mother, Olga, made public appeals for her safe return, speaking to media outlets and distributing missing person posters throughout the region. They also created a dedicated website and offered a $20,000 reward for any information that could lead to her being found. In emotional messages, they stressed that Alisa would not face any consequences and that all they wanted was to see her home, safe and sound. Their statements were filled with love, hope, and compassion, reflecting their deep concern and the pain of not knowing where their daughter was. As the weeks passed, the case continued to attract media coverage. Alisa was described as being 5 feet 3 inches tall and weighing approximately 122 pounds. At the time of her disappearance, she had been wearing a white shirt with dark lettering. Her image was circulated widely on social media, in the press, and through community efforts as concern for her well-being grew. Then, in a turn of events that surprised many, it was announced that Alisa had been found in Colorado 6 weeks after she had disappeared. Authorities confirmed that she was alive and receiving medical attention. However, they have remained cautious in releasing specific details about her whereabouts during that time or the circumstances that led to her return. It is not yet clear whether she had been traveling alone the entire time or whether she had encountered individuals who may have influenced or prevented her from returning home sooner. Detectives are now working with her family to facilitate a safe and private reunion. Alisa's father, in an interview with a local news outlet, expressed immense relief and gratitude, stating that the best possible outcome would have been for her to simply walk through the front door again. He said that the family was not focused on blame or punishment, but instead only on having their daughter back. One key element that has emerged from the investigation is Alisa's communication with a 35-year-old man named Matthew Nicholas Menard. Authorities have stated that she may have intended to meet him in Las Vegas. This detail adds another layer of concern to the case, as it underscores the very real dangers that can arise from online communication between young individuals and adults. The internet can provide opportunities for connection and education, but it can also expose vulnerable people to potentially harmful situations if not navigated carefully. Olga Petrov had previously mentioned that Alisa had recently turned 15 on the 16th of April, just 5 days before she vanished. She had saved around $1,000 from birthday gifts and allowances, which she took with her. This indicates that Alisa may have been planning her trip for some time, a detail that further complicates understanding her motivations and the full story behind her disappearance. As the investigation continues, law enforcement agencies are reviewing every part of the case to understand what happened and how best to prevent similar incidents in the future. This includes analyzing her travel route, how she managed to stay off the radar for several weeks, and whether she received help or was manipulated at any point during her journey. In a heartfelt Facebook post, Nikolai Petrov shared the joyful news with friends and supporters. He thanked the South Jordan Police Department, the Salt Lake City FBI, and the countless volunteers and strangers who helped search for Alisa. He emphasized the importance of community support during times of crisis and noted how deeply moved the family was by the outpouring of love and concern. The strange disappearance and reappearance of Alisa Petrov serves as a reminder of how quickly a situation can change and how important it is for families to stay connected in an increasingly digital world. While her return is cause for celebration, her story is also a warning about the risks that come with online communication and the vulnerability of young people navigating these platforms alone. As Alisa begins the process of recovery and reintegration with her family, the community continues to rally around her. There is still much to learn, but for now, the most important truth remains. Alisa is safe, and her family has her back in their arms. Darcy DeFriez. The disappearance of 19-year-old surfer Darcy DeFriez from the north coast of New South Wales had gripped the local community in fear and hope. What began as a typical afternoon spent by the ocean turned into a desperate overnight search when Darcy failed to return home from a solo surfing trip near Woolly. His eventual rescue from a remote island 13 kilometers offshore has since been described as nothing short of a miracle. Darcy had been enjoying the outdoors as he often did, beginning his afternoon fishing near the Woolly breakwall before cycling roughly 5 kilometers north to One Tree, a known surfing spot. However, when night fell and there was still no sign of him, concern quickly escalated. Darcy's father, Terry DeFriez, raised the alarm after discovering his son's bike, shoes and clothing abandoned on the sand. The absence of these items, paired with Darcy's failure to return home, immediately sparked fears that something serious had happened out at sea. Terry acted quickly, issuing an emotional plea for help from the local community. Volunteers, emergency crews, and concerned residents joined the search throughout the night and into the following morning. Boats were launched, drones were deployed, and beach patrols scoured the coastline, all driven by the hope of bringing Darcy home safely. The circumstances appeared grim, but no one was ready to give up. On the morning of Thursday, the 26th of December, hope turned to astonishment when news broke that Darcy had been located alive on North Solitary Island, an isolated landmass located 13 kilometers from the mainland. Relief spread like wildfire as loved ones and community members celebrated the remarkable news. Terry, overwhelmed with emotion, described the discovery as a one-in-a-million miracle. He admitted he had not yet spoken with his son at the time, but was filled with gratitude and disbelief that Darcy had been found safe. The ordeal had left the family exhausted, yet elated. After a sleepless night filled with uncertainty, the outcome had defied all odds. Darcy, now under medical care, had survived what many feared was an impossible situation. His ability to endure the powerful tides and distance to reach the island reflected immense strength and presence of mind. While the full details of how he made it there remain limited, it is clear that Darcy's resilience played a key role in his survival. Melissa Smith, Darcy's mother, shared that she believed he may have been swept out past the break on his longboard and drifted out to sea. She explained that North Solitary Island, though distant, would have appeared to Darcy as a possible place of safety. She expressed confidence in her son's instincts and noted his strength and determination. Her intuition proved correct. Against the odds, Darcy had reached the island and waited until help arrived. The community, which had banded together with unwavering support, responded with pure joy. Messages flooded social media expressing their relief and happiness. Friends and neighbors posted words of love and celebration, many moved to tears by the happy ending. One family friend noted how overwhelmed they were with joy, while others simply thanked the universe that Darcy had made it to safety. Throughout the search, the New South Wales Police issued regular updates, sharing that Darcy had left home on Wednesday afternoon to surf, but had not returned. They confirmed that his disappearance was out of character, which added urgency to the search. At the time, it was also noted that he had left his phone and smartwatch at home, making it more difficult for rescuers to track him. This situation could have ended in heartbreak. Yet, through a combination of tireless effort, community unity, and Darcy's own perseverance, it concluded with hope and immense gratitude. The recovery of Darcy from North Solitary Island not only reunited a family, but reminded everyone of the extraordinary strength of the human spirit. As Darcy recovers and reflects on what must have been an incredibly intense and isolating experience, his story now stands as a testament to survival against the odds. His parents' devotion, the overwhelming support from locals, and the dedication of search and rescue teams created a powerful force that refused to give up. In a world often filled with uncertainty, the safe return of Darcy Defaults is a reminder that even the darkest moments can end in light, and for the community of Woolly and beyond, it's a moment that will never be forgotten. The ancient Persian army that vanished. In the vast desert landscapes of ancient Egypt, a haunting mystery has echoed through history for over 2,000 years, the mysterious disappearance of an entire Persian army. Around the year 524 before Christ, 50,000 soldiers vanished without a trace while on a mission in the unforgiving sands of the Egyptian Sahara. This event, passed down through generations and recorded by ancient historians, has fascinated scholars, archaeologists, and storytellers alike. The roots of this enigma trace back to King Cambyses II, the ambitious son of Cyrus the Great and ruler of the mighty Persian Empire. In the year 525 before Christ, Cambyses launched a successful military campaign into Egypt. He defeated Pharaoh Psamtik III in the decisive Battle of Pelusium and shortly after took control of the Egyptian capital of Memphis. Determined to solidify his hold over Egypt and be acknowledged as its rightful pharaoh, Cambyses sought approval from powerful religious centers, including the Oracle of Amun located in the distant Siwa oasis. The Oracle of Amun held immense influence in Egyptian society. Its priests were regarded as the voice of the gods, and their blessings could legitimize a ruler's claim to the throne. But rather than offering their support to Cambyses, the priests reportedly withheld their blessing, an act that is believed to have deeply offended the Persian king. According to the ancient Greek historian Herodotus, Cambyses reacted with anger. While he advanced further south to campaign in Ethiopia, he ordered a detachment of 50,000 troops to head westward from Thebes, now known as Luxor, with instructions to destroy the oracle and enslave its protectors. This massive military contingent set out across the Egyptian desert, following a route that may have taken them through areas like Karga, Dakhla, or even Farafra. Their last recorded location was a place referred to by Herodotus as the Island of the Blessed, a vague term with no clear geographical reference. After reaching this point, the soldiers vanished entirely, leaving no survivors, no messages, and no clear evidence of what had happened. For centuries, the accepted version of events was that the army was caught in a powerful and sudden sandstorm. The idea that a freak natural disaster had swept across the desert, burying the soldiers in a massive wave of sand, became the dominant theory. The Sahara, known for its harsh and unpredictable climate, seemed capable of such an act. As time passed, this story evolved into a legend, with tales of buried weapons, lost armor, and ghostly whispers echoing across the dunes near Luxor. However, the mystery took a dramatic turn in the year 2009. A team of Italian archaeologists conducting research in the Western Desert discovered bronze arrowheads, fragments of weapons, and a large collection of bones. The artifacts, unearthed near the path towards Siwa, sparked worldwide attention. Documentaries and news outlets suggested that the long-lost Persian army had finally been found, validating Herodotus's centuries-old account. Yet not everyone accepted this conclusion. Egyptologist Olaf Kaper offered a compelling alternative theory in the year 2014. According to Kaper, the Persian soldiers were never lost to the forces of nature, but rather met their fate at the hands of a powerful adversary, Petubastis III, an Egyptian rebel leader. At that time, Petubastis had established a stronghold in the Western Desert and was leading a revolt against Persian occupation. Kaper suggested that the detachment of Persian troops, unfamiliar with the local terrain and likely overconfident, may have been ambushed and overwhelmed by Petubastis's forces. This interpretation challenges the romanticized tale of a desert storm wiping out an entire army. Instead, it presents a more grounded explanation, one rooted in military strategy and historical context. The narrative of the sandstorm may have served as a convenient story for Cambyses's successor, Darius I, who later assumed control over the Persian Empire. By framing the failed expedition as an unfortunate act of nature rather than a military defeat, Darius could both preserve the empire's dignity and distance himself from Cambyses's unpopular campaign in Egypt. If true, the story of Petubastis's ambush adds a new dimension to the saga. It reveals a successful act of resistance by native Egyptians during a time of foreign rule. It also highlights the vulnerability of even the most powerful armies when operating far from their base in hostile and unfamiliar environments. The desert, with its heat, isolation, and treacherous terrain, may have been an unwitting ally to the Egyptians in their struggle for sovereignty. Still, the legend of the sandstorm endures. The idea of an army swallowed whole by the desert captures the imagination in a way few historical events can. It speaks to the power of nature, the fragility of human ambition, and the deep mysteries hidden beneath the Earth's surface. Archaeological evidence may eventually offer a clearer picture, but for now, the story remains shrouded in myth and wonder. What is particularly striking is the way this ancient event continues to provoke debate and curiosity today. Whether through the writings of Herodotus, the discoveries of modern archaeologists, or the theories of contemporary historians, the disappearance of the Persian army endures as one of the great unsolved mysteries of the ancient world. It bridges the gap between myth and reality, legend and fact, forcing us to confront the limitations of historical knowledge and the power of storytelling. The shifting sands of the Sahara have long concealed secrets, and perhaps more clues lie hidden beneath its surface, waiting to be uncovered. Until then, the fate of Cambyses's lost army stands as a reminder of how history is often a mixture of truth and interpretation. It also reflects the complex interplay of power and propaganda, where myths are not simply born from imagination, but crafted to serve deeper agendas. Whether lost to the wind or to an enemy's blade, the story of these 50,000 soldiers will continue to resonate. In their silence, they have become part of one of history's most captivating mysteries, buried not just in sand, but in centuries of speculation and wonder.